But there, you know, it's, years 1995 and approximately 9. But basically, from the information that we have before, we have $1 runs we're out of state, but the way that
So is your request for level funding basically?
level five.
Okay. Any questions from members of the committee? Well, thank you. That was short and sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you again. That was early. Ahead of schedule. Is the oil and gas board here and ready? Hey. Thank you. Good. We are ready when you are.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. My name is Jason. Here, this morning to basically mention 3 short budget items to you this morning. We are spending just a little over $2.5 million in budget request approval for my state local gas conservation fund. Our agency can generate all of our money by relation to revenue. You're asking for approval of our budget amount, just over $2.5 million, all of that. You're also asking for 34 employment positions. Again, employment currently we have 32. 2 of those are vacant at this time. So filling those, the additional 2 that we need. Medical vision archaeology department. Typically, we like to have a minimum of 4 staff members in there. Currently, we only have 2. The need for those additional 2. Our programs are expanding. We're engaging more CO2 sequestration, CO2 storage projects. We're currently running a those are 3 very large projects that just require man positions that we need to fill our most advanced technical positions. Positions we're currently trying to fill in posted position 3 times. We just have 9. Third and final item on our budget request this year is just the inclusion of some language dealing with the escalation spending authority for our data management program. It's the online program that we use internally by our staff and externally by operators. I'll just give you kind of a breakdown of what our budget allocations have been the last couple of years. You'll see that we came general fund last year and our prior year, excuse me, this year. And we are in there, which is something we've worked to do since coming out from the general fund. I think it's taking some little time. Seems to be bouncing back and permits last year, permits, which was 60. And then in addition to the federal funding programs, we also generate state funding funds as well. So right now we've got same time as we're engaging in federal funding programs, we'll be funding as well as using our state funds as well. So all in all, we're in pretty good shape. Happy to answer any questions or address any of our programs or
From members of the committee. Senator Norwood.
Now, am I reading this right? You had 48,000 less than last year.
We're asking this year, we're asking for 2.5 million, a little bit more than.
Okay, 2.72 is your request.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think,
I would like 24.
yes, sir. I think that some of the difference in numbers are probably stagnant. I'm not to guess.
Senator Delano.
I think last year, in your hearing, we had some discussions about some derelict wells that you were having to go out, some stuff. And I don't remember the specific issue that you were having, but did that get rectified?
We're doing that now. So that all falls under our local program. That now plugging in at work, your service communications. So what we discussed last year was several projects. Or well, funds for pure service communication project management. So we've had a lot of those. We've had some of the federal money here, but some of the state money is also been used. For instance, there are pretty well exposed to that. Not just those, and those pretty well.
Senator Norwood.
Now, I guess I'm back. Even, recommendation is 48,000 less than what you requested.
Yes, sir.
Now, how is it going to impact? Would it impact your operation?
Absolutely. I mean, it's gonna, the 2.5 that we factored in there. We don't have additional like field plus some additional compensation. Every penny that we've accounted for in our budget last is money that we need in order to and keep and retain staff or attract and retain staff that we need to operate it.
So you posted a position 2-3 times.
Yes, sir.
Is that, do you see that as being salary related or?
Absolutely. Two positions that we're trying to add are their environmental natural resources. Are them to have an advanced geology degree and prefer that they are registered as a registered professional geology degree, control engineering degree, status as a professional geologist is critical to us. It's just over 40,000. The market salary is just under 53,000, and the maximum is just over 66,000. We try to keep, our goal is to hire positions at or near the market. After they show the market or better, I think we'll get up there. It just takes time. Now, there's a great post out there. They're trying to get that for a while. So, and we're posting these positions, we want to be posted now, we're posting at market rate. Yes, sir.
You're welcome. We have a couple of questions. You mentioned the 40,000 minimum, 56,000 market, and 66,000. And then the higher.
That's the problem.
Have the positions been vacant that you're trying to do?
We will, currently vacant positions, one of the staff member left last July for medical reasons. The other position that we have vacant is an administrative position. So we're seeking to fill both of those now in addition to adding to.
I see. And are you having difficulty filling the vacant positions?
We are on the geologist position. We have not posted the position yet. We've done some show. We've done some cross training. We have 5 different departments engaged. So we've allowed.
Two positions that you're seeking to add, the more technical positions. What would be the impact of the work if for some reason the authority is not granted to fill those positions?
It'll be very hard for us to implement Class 6 primacy, which is going to be, we'll start that application later this year. It's about 2 to 3 years. It is extremely expensive. And Class 6 primacy work, in addition to the CO2 sequestration projects, which are taking us to the state, we have permitting going forward, and the local budget program. We don't ask.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from any members of the committee? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. So I think we have about 15 minutes. Yes. We're on hold. We have Board of Architecture scheduled for 11, motor vehicle 11:15. And Charlie will be the analyst. But, well, yeah. please. Thank you.
At 11 o'clock
Okay.
for state aggregate budget hearings. So,
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Well, Charlie is supposed to present, so he may not be here until 11. I'm not sure. She had to leave.
It's
The analyst, Charlie.
Charlie. That is. Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
How you doing? It's good to see you all again. It's kind of like a.
Good to see you again.
It's very good. It's called a hot box. This year.
As soon as he arrives, we'll get started.
Get started. Y'all know if you have any channel bills. It's already gone. Practice requirements, you don't know at all. It allows for landscape architects. It doesn't change any licensure requirements at all. But it doesn't require an architect to sign on to, or to sign on construction documents. No. I can see, I can see, but there is a section here that would require architects in the multidisciplinary to sign contracts on the contract. Yeah, somebody called me I'm from the coast, somebody from the coast called me about it. So, multidisciplinary firms, if they're proposing architectural services, some architect, some contract. Otherwise, it's just engineering and saying.
The purpose behind it is to make certain that the contract contains as the scope of work of architectural services that will be.
Morning, Charlie. Are you covered? Yes.
Okay, I think I just did that.
You have time. But it wouldn't be pleasant. Feel the time. Floor is open. Good morning.
John Cochran, I'm the executive director of the State Board of Architecture, already from that.
I'm joined today by Larry Bishop and Chicago. They are members of the board. She is our special assistant. Patrick is our prime. She of the handout that I provided. The board of architecture. And on page 3, a little more about our agency. Architecture was established in 1988. Safeguard the life, health, and property of the public. The board is solid. Design advisory. Separate agencies, most of which profession, they're all consolidated. Efficiency. We have 5 members on each of
Employees who are assisted by contracted attorneys. Serves in the city by protecting and preserving the life, health, property of the citizens and others. The difference in how we regulate architecture policy architecture versus interior design. Certified interior design, so we do not restrict the practice of interior design. Little difference there. Or, at the top, we will is protection of life, health, and property and every other portion of these buildings. Now, every day they have the spaces, public reserve. We have focused on efficiency in our agency. Seven business days, our goal 3 weeks. And at the bottom of page 4, you have the summary of our fiscal year 24 budget requests and budget considerations on the top of page 5. The Board of Architects $56,561 for fiscal year 24. Joint legislative budget committee has recommended a slight reduction of $321,000. Personal services is requested for delays in taking director salary. Some request is actually below. And due in part to the provision that we introduced contractual services, largely considered, that helps to offset a portion of the increase. We want to cycle, so our renewals, which is the majority of our revenue, those occur over that 2-year period. Essentially break the representation chart at the bottom. So our six. See our source of revenue. Of our revenue, as you can expect, from people. Our license numbers on that page average around 2,000 a year. That's been pretty constant for the last 15 years or so. Most of them reside out of state. 21% reside in Mississippi, 76% from other states. Seven, under program efficiencies, you'll note our percentage of renewals process on bottom.
7, copy page 8, and summary of employees licensure. Also, that the board is committed to providing educational opportunities to our licensees, students, interns, building officials. We focus a lot on they're looking on the front lines, whether so we focus a lot on violations through education. And we're also continuing so the organization, state and national council of architects. That may help us apply all the state by developing model laws and regulations. And which you can imagine the chaos that would consider those situations with design provisions. So maintain records for practitioners that they can easily put transfer their license. Sources largely through the efforts of these organizations, reciprocity. And it's not the number of out-of-state licensees that we have. That reciprocity goes very smoothly because the requirements are largely uniform state to state. And very active in these organizations because the decisions and policies that are set by these organizations do impact. So we have a voice. So members of the board, committees or elected offices of these organizations. Currently, one of our elected Richard Bill serving on the board of directors, and one of our chair actually of our interior design. We remain very active in these organizations. So in conclusion, the board is a committed consumer protection agency that protects the public through proactive licensure and regulatory efforts to have a strong enforcement and education. State members of the board. Responsible mission agency, so we respectfully request hopefully that was around 10. Trying to keep it in that way. Do we have any entertaining discussion?
Are there any questions from the members of the committee? There are no.
The definition. What that is that
The definitions,
definition.
statute,
Same thing there,
don't actually define the practice of interior design law because of the difference in the way that professions are regulated. We only regulate use of the type. You can't find this.
The definition would be at 72.3.
72-3, what is it?
What was that?
71-3.
Well, I'm skipping 73. 3.
Senator Norwood, did you have another question?
So you have 15 board members.
Right, the board and committee members all together.
And I would feel they're appointed by the governor.
They're all appointed by the governor. Yes.
But keep in mind that the landscape architects that are still design. The company underneath the board of architects.
Game authority. So it's 5 architect members appointed by the governor. And they have something that comes from the board.
They conduct their own investigations and those matters are then reported to the board. The board makes a modifying or rejecting the advisory committee's recommendation.
And so the governing authority, in essence, is like would be 5.
Correct. And consolidation, as I said earlier, consolidations keeps it much more simplified. And basically state statutes.
Now, this man,
Yes, sir, you can have that. Just the landscape architect, we like architects, okay? Let me just give it to you. Here's 7313.
It relates to the travel, the line item for travel, and I noticed that from, let's say, from 2022, there was an increase to 2023. But I also understand in your presentation that the travel to these national meetings are based on basically, I guess, scholarships that's provided by those associations. What's the basis for the travel in your budget request? And then if you could also maybe explain the reason for the increase from 2022 to 2023.
Right now, we have, for example, architecture is on the board of directors or in Parker. So his travels, and he rolls off the board of directors this coming fiscal year. And state funding. That's partly why we higher some years than what our actual expenditures are. It's to accommodate everybody. It's not all atmosphere. And that's the reason we eventually was our travel fund. That's
And there's a difference. LBR is recommending an amount that's less than your budget request. Will you all, as an organization, be able to absorb a reduction if that is what is funded by the legislature? I'm sure, of course. Do you understand the basis for the recommended reduced amount? Are there any? Thank you. Appreciate your presentation. I look forward to seeing you again. And we don't have the answer yet. We don't want to put our answers in the spot. He's subbing.
That would have been. Yeah, we heard it.
All right. Thank y'all for allowing me to be here today. My name is Jeff Jernigan. I'm the Executive Director of the Mississippi Motor Vehicle Commission. I've been there about, I guess, my third or fourth time coming. Been there for about that many years. I guess since 2019. Just in general, last year I think we had $42,000 or so unspent funds. We just haven't been used for COVID or for other reasons. We also sometimes plan to spend some money just in case things come up. Sometimes we have hearings. We'll have one tomorrow. We have one scheduled for March. Where that just incur extra costs with court reporters and things like that. But we do appreciate the y'all allowing us to have flexibility in our budget, so we're not sitting there at the end of the year trying to come up with, figure out what we need to pay or what and when we need to pay something. So far this year, we brought in $400,000. Our main renewal for licenses is in December, or ends of the calendar year. So that's where we are there. I expect at least easily another $50,000, probably around 475 or so. Maybe we're going to end up this year a little bit less than last year at 517,000. I know usually I ask that we have about $1.5 million in the trust fund.
Treasury Department. We have seen expenses increase this year, as probably everybody, whether it's travel, there's a national organization for our commission that finally met after 3 years. So that was some extra things that we've had. Generally, we get internet, phone bills, things like that kind of go up. Like Comcast bill going up, or whether we get the clearing ledger, that sometimes goes up. So that's just kind of some of our flexibility or some of our spending there. I did want to say that I think the LBO had a slight decrease from what our request was. My main concern was make sure there's an allocation there, at least in the salary department, to cover extra expenses such as the health insurance costs. I think it's going to be at least $75 a month. I believe that started in this month in January. Also, life insurance, I think it's going to cost us a couple extra dollars a month there. But the main thing will be the PERS contribution rate. I know that if that 5% goes through, then we want to make sure that money's allocated in that for starting in next October. Do you think some of our revenue, again, like I said, won't quite reach the same amount last year? I noticed that depending on how the market goes, last year we had 6 staff sales events. That's where a dealership takes vehicles off the lot, or they can do it on the lot. And we do generate some revenue from that, from the background checks. There are different items there. This year we only have 1 scheduled for January, and I haven't received any applications for February. So those might drop off a little bit. That's just some of the reasons why our budget will, our revenue would decrease a little bit, but generally that's all I have. See if y'all have any questions.
Look like it.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with them. It's like they plucked you up a little bit salaries, but then you had a request for equipment that's in your estimate for $6,600 or something thereabouts. Do you know what that is? Equipment?
Remember right now,
It looks like it was just a one-time purchase, like you're going to purchase something
so
in FY 23, and then it's not going to be there in 24.
we did buy some furniture for one of the offices that's been in there since like the 80s. Upgraded some of those furniture, things like that.
Okay.
Those are some things we did spend money on. I know during COVID we did buy tablets 1 year for our members, so that way you can go flip through the board files and scan them instead of getting rid of all the paper and the time it takes to make copies, prepare those books, and everything like that. Some expenses that we do with the equipment purchase.
Any other questions from members of the meeting?
Thank y'all.
Presentation.
Appreciate it.
It's just being streamed. Says
Right, it says you lives.
hot box.
Make sure you get a microphone.
about this. You're gonna talk.
Just a little bit. Ready?
Ready.
Yeah, I'm Stephanie Lee with the Board of Contractors. I believe most of you are familiar with the board. We license and regulate construction contractors in Mississippi, both commercial and residential. We are a self-funded agency. Our request this year is similar to our request for the past couple of years, with just a few noted exceptions, which I'll run through. I know it's getting close to lunchtime. I'll be brief. Let me run through those exceptions of the additions that we're asking for. The agency has 16 positions. We have very limited turnover in our agency. Although this past November, we did have our Director of Enforcement retire after 23 years of service to the state. So we took that opportunity to evaluate job duties and positions. We were able to promote from within. That created 2 vacancies. The legislative budget recommendation eliminated 2 of those positions. We're asking that those be restored. We have filled one of those positions, and then we're currently working on filling the other one. When we submitted our original budget request back in August, we were asking for 4 additional PNs. And that was to assist with an increase in the workload for the agency. However, in the past 6 months, we have reevaluated that. And the agency feels that we could get by with 2 of those positions rather than the original 4 that was requested. Also in the salary category, we are asking that amount be amended to include the full funding for the health and life insurance premiums increase, as well as the agency contribution to retirement increase. I'm sure you've heard that request multiple times. And then additional for salary progressions to be awarded to employees based upon their performance evaluation, successful completion and duties, obtaining of additional certifications and training. And then finally, we do have one other employee that we anticipate will be retiring this year, looking at that around November. And so we were asking for authority to pay that lump sum retirement leave when that employee retires, so that we'd be able to fill that position as it occurs without having to leave it vacant, so that we would stay within our salary targets. Questions about that category before we get to a couple of other categories?
For the individual will be retiring, what type of position?
That will be retiring in November is an investigator in the enforcement division. He's an investigator supervisor in the enforcement division. The other changes are pretty straightforward, just contractual. We're asking for a slight increase. That is just associated with disciplinary hearings, calls for court reporters, process servers, disciplinary hearings due to the increased volume of complaints and disciplinary hearings that we had, and also an increase in the equipment. That's just so that we can furnish those 2 new PNs that we are requesting. I think, did I skip over that? I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I talked about, we originally requested 4, now we think we can only do 2. So that equipment is for just furnishing computers and things like that for the 2 new PNs that we are requesting. And then we are asking to replace our server and telephone system. And then those increased requests are itemized below on that second page of the handout. If if you have any other questions about those. They're pretty straightforward.
Any members? Are there any questions?
You have a question?
Senator Lamb.
On your capital outlay with your equipment, you said you were having to purchase servers. Do you know what, are you doing that in-house or are you doing that with ITS?
We work with them and with our IT vendor for upgrading.
Your IT vendor?
Opus Technologies.
It's kind of a more of a general question, but several years ago, it's probably more than 4 years ago, we passed a bill that was more or less called or referred to as a statewide building code bill. Didn't require municipalities to establish building codes or to enforce building codes. But if they did, it just said we're rolling with IRC or ICC. But more and more entities have been moving towards adopting building codes for a lot of reasons, but mainly insurance reasons, trying to drive down insurance costs. When they do that, then obviously there's a lot more, but you get involved more often because the contractors are required to be licensed within the cities. So has your workload increased because of that? And is that something that you're steadily watching or steadily seeing? And can you give me some idea of how many new municipalities or counties are starting to enforce building codes more often that increases your workload?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that in two parts. So some municipalities and counties adopt the building code. And then some, as you said, are adopting that building code, and that goes to a lot of reasons, insurance purposes, and as you know, like the FEMA funding on the codes after Katrina, a lot of that. So that has increased. And then
So what do your investigators do?
so our investigators are statewide. We have 7 investigators statewide. Checks for licensure, and then also we take complaints at our office directly from consumers or from other contractors for any of the reasons that are specified in the statute that we have authority to investigate. So they handle all of it.
Okay, so we've passed we've passed bills that have tried to limit the number of out-of-state contractors coming in here after storm events, like after tornadoes, and I think you and I worked on a bill with respect to roofing contractors getting out or allowing a homeowner to get out of a contract with a roofing company if it's within 48 hours or so, because there was a conflict. Building a company would come in, normally they were from out of state, they would come in and write an inflated proposal to replace a roof. Then you had to go get it approved from the build part from the insurance company. The insurance company would deny the 100% replacement that's in this contract that was signed. And then whatever the insurance company would say, they said they're only going to replace 35% of the roof. Then they would get to, the homeowner would get to rescind the contract that was signed, and then they can negotiate it again to see if they can make it happen. But in that kind of a scenario, is that where your office gets called when they have problems with contractors like that?
Yes, like I said, we do both compliance from a proactive standpoint, as well as when complaints are filed and issues like that come up.
Okay, because I never knew who people called whenever they have issues that come up. stuff like that, because I've had the Department of Insurance say that they investigate some of that stuff, but they're really doing it from the insurance company
Right.
side, not from the contractor side.
Yes, and we do get a lot of referrals from the insurance department as well as the AG's office. We work with them. Sometimes complaints are something like home repair fraud that we refer and work with the AG's office on, and vice versa. They send them to us. And I just wanted to mention, you were talking about focus is on competency and making sure that the consumers are protected. So we work diligently to balance the protection of consumers in the insurance business, but we're not focused on keeping out of state or keeping them out of business, but focused on the competency aspect that goes to safety. We have currently there's around 11,300, a little over 11,300 licensed contractors in Mississippi. And that is both commercial and residential contractors that are building the homes that you live in, the buildings you work in, the bridges that you drive over, electricians, plumbers, all of it, and the infrastructure as well, water and sewer contractors. Yes, we have 7 inspectors statewide.
That's
Yes, and our inspectors also work with the local code enforcement and the local building officials as well. We have a very good relationship with them where we work with them
so that would help.
on the enforcement standpoint as well. We have had, like I mentioned, we've had an increased workload. So the 2 positions that we're asking to be added to assist with that is on the administrative side. We'll continue to evaluate that. And if we feel that we need additional enforcement, then we would come back next year and ask for that. But right now, our investigators, we believe we'll be able to handle that workload. It's the initial workload at the beginning of getting people into compliance.
Anything you'd like to add?
Just that we are a special fund agency. We don't get any general fund appropriations. We do operate exclusively from the fees that we collect from licensure. And we do have the funds to sustain our request.
Ms. Lee and others, thank you all for presenting this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for accommodating our scheduling request.
no.
We appreciate that.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, like Ms. Johnson, I've got 2 down. 2 of them in addition to one asking to be restored for Virginia.
I thought I had you. Thank you. Good to see you.
You too.
Okay. I think I have SEA. Oh, no, you're fine. That's, I think that's the purpose of the meeting. Keep up with all these. We're done. Solid.
Don't let the trees burn.
I know, we're gonna have to change the paper to paper. It's will rise and will